right. We only got like 25 minutes left here.
Here,
So
let me help you segue. Are you ready? All right.
Go for it.
Actually, the reason that our birth rates are declining is because of the everyone's becoming transgender. There you go. I helped you segue, right?
You know, the funny thing is, that's what they would actually say. I guarantee you, they say that. They would say, I have heard Republicans say this, that the reason that we have this declining birth rate is because of the queer community. They wouldn't say queer community. They'd say something a lot worse or whatever. Like this tiny fraction. Oh, and they would point, you know what they would do? They would say that, well, I looked at Gen Z stats and it says that 35% of them are queer. And it's like, okay, that covers a wide spectrum.
Yeah, it's like most of them are bi. It's like 98% are bi.
Yeah,
of that 30% or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a deflection, but they will talk about the trans issue and how this is I'm so disappointed, honestly, in this trans thing. So what we wanted to talk about was Mike Johnson, who amazingly enough, like has actually survived and it's looking like he's gonna stay Speaker of the House. Like I remember when he was first elected, I was like, okay, this guy's not gonna last 10 minutes. He's still there. And he doesn't seem to have an army that's clamoring for him to step down like Kevin McCarthy did. But the House Republicans have been faced themselves with a little problem here. We had our first elected trans representative. I can't remember her name. At least I can find it here. I don't see. Can someone find that for me? Sarah
from Delaware. People from Delaware aren't really actually real, so
yeah, no.
They're just corporations. It's not. They can't be a real person.
It is one of those states you do forget about, in Delaware. Joe Biden's from Delaware, if that tells you anything. But yeah, Sarah McBride is the first trans woman representative that we know of, at least, like an openly trans woman and representative. And this has caused a big problem for the Republicans. They think this is a major issue because what in heaven's name are we supposed to do with the bathrooms? What's the only thing that they seem to care about? So what's her name?
Again,
Nancy.
Republicans being creepy about, genital-related things.
Like, they cannot stop. They cannot stop talking about people's genitals and especially children's genitals. They seem to be very fascinated with this topic, and it's kind of dark. But fear not, folks. Good people of the United States. Mike McCarthy, our fearless leader, in a statement, the speaker told reporters, "For anyone who doesn't know my established record on the issue, let me be unequivocally clear." Unequivocally queer. That'd be funny. That would be so funny. That would be great. All right. Let me be unequivocally clear. A man is a man. A woman is a woman. I also believe that what Scripture teaches and what I just said, but believe me, we treat everybody with dignity. We will do our best, for all those things at the same time. But Mike McCarthy has pretty much said, no, we are putting in a absolute ban. Oh, sorry, Mike Johnson, but we are putting in an absolute ban. No biological men in female bathrooms. And Nancy Mace has been on a tear on this. Like Representative Nancy Mace, I can't remember the number. It was like she has tweeted 262 times about this issue since the election. 262 times. That was of this morning. I'm sure it's more as of now. And I don't know. I'm beginning to suspect that the price of eggs isn't actually something she really cares about. Like, I think that she cares about something a whole lot more. It seems to be something a lot worse. Did you catch this, Todd? What do you think? What do you say? I know.
I just, whenever somebody starts talking about this stuff on the right, like I immediately know they're not a serious person. Like this is the thing that we can call them weird. We can call them. I mean, it's not. You can't exaggerate that point enough. I mean, bathrooms are for taking a shit, and that's it. Like I don't understand how we continue to be, and they will be like the left. The left is obsessed with this issue, and I love the way that this newly elected representative has been completely dismissive of all of this, like is not getting involved. Like her stance is like, I will follow the rules. I'm not here this is not why I'm here. I'm here to be a serious representative and deal with the serious issues that my constituents in Delaware sent me here to deal with, while the Republicans froth at the mouth about peeping into people's bathroom stalls. Like, I don't, how do we move past this issue?
We don't. Like it's they won't let us move past this issue because like you're right. It's weird. It's weird to give a shit. Like first of all, how do you know that the person you're in the bathroom with is whatever like actual biological sex that you
Oh,
think
that's not
they
what matters. What matters is making trans people's lives as miserable as possible.
Yeah, well, yes, Keegan, obviously that's the thing, but like if we are even addressing their argument in good faith, assuming it's a good faith argument, like how do you know that the person in the stall next to you is even when I'm in a stall, especially if like I'm a woman, I'm always in a stall, right? Like you don't even know, like you just see their shoes. Like that's it. How the hell would you ever know if they're a man or a woman, and how would that make you uncomfortable? I actually read this today when doing a little research. We used to not have, segregated bathrooms between men and women. They were just all the reason they're called
It's a different
restrooms.
kind of segregation.
Well, okay, we did used to have segregated bathrooms. So yeah, between men and women, right? The reason they're called restrooms is because there was this idea that became popular that women needed their own room to rest because if they're out in public instead of being in the house, it's just very stressful for them. Their real place is in the kitchen, and if they're out in public, they're going to need this rest room to go to. The entire reason that bathrooms are segregated in the first place is because of extremely fucking sexist beliefs. And it's really funny to see these women go like, oh, well, this is my right as a woman to have this segregated bathroom that was originally forced upon me by people who were incredibly sexist and hated me. It's really an insane thing. And the only way to enforce it is to check people's genitals. How the fuck else would you? And that's fucking weird. I'm sorry, bro. It's fucking weird. Just be normal. That's it. It's not that hard.
I have two really big points to make. One of them is a psychology one, which I want to get to in a second. But there's the taking this seriously, right? Let's just pretend that this is a serious issue, right? So, because they're going to come after like trans bathrooms on a national level, kind of a thing. Now, first off, I do love whenever you're like, here's a trans man and he's like buff AF. And it's just like, you want this person in the women's bathroom, and you basically trick the dumb conservative into thinking, no, dude, this should be in the men's bathroom. It's like, yes, I agree. This is a trans man.
Yeah.
But, if trans women were actually a threat to women in the bathroom, guess what? Fox News and Ben Shapiro and the rest of right-wing hate media would have made the name of that trans person who hurt a cisgendered woman a national story for a month. Every one of us would know the name of this person. Guess what? That hasn't happened yet. To justify this discriminatory and bigoted policy, you'd have to have data showing a nationwide trend of trans women being a threat in women's bathrooms. They aren't. Because allowing trans people in the bathroom of your gender not only doesn't harm anyone, but actually reduces harm.
A lot.
This really reminds me of like, we can't have black women in the white women's bathroom. They'll be scary and threatening. It's like the exact same rhetoric, dude. Like, oh my God. Listen, there is actual harm in forcing trans women into men's spaces. In prison, for example, trans women are the target of so much more sexual violence. But conservatives are okay with that.
So
a lot of
that's the
conservatives
thing.
like this because, and just one more sentence, okay? They think trans people are inherently bad and should be punished for who they are. And I'd love to talk about the psychology of that in just a minute. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, put a picture of this woman up and look at all the Republican men in the House and say, so you guys want to go on record that you want her in your bathroom? Like that's the argument they're making. You want her in your bathroom. The second thing I was going to say was, I can't remember, what was the last sentence you said? It sparked something in me.
Well,
they want to hurt people, I think is what you said, right?
They think the trans people are inherently bad.
Yeah, so that's the thing, like that with these picks, with all these cabinet picks, every conservative I know has posted pictures of Pete and pictures of people in Biden's cabinet who are part of the LGBTQ plus community and been like, don't talk to us about how bad Trump's picks are. Look at these people. Meaning at base, if you have appointed a person who is not straight, they are automatically bad and unqualified. And the rapist white guy is better than them. That's where this all stems from. I agree with that. That just trans people are just bad, immoral, awful people. End of story for these people. That's their stance.
Keegan, that's a great segue for you to talk about the psychology of it, because I'm interested in what
Yeah.
you're going to have to say then.
So for anyone that just joined, you can look up at Keegan Tatum on TikTok, Instagram.
Love the
YouTube,
plug-in. Love
and
the plug-in. More of our guests need to do that.
you will hear a lot about political psychology. It's my thing. So the studies are unambiguously clear that that transphobia's main source is an oversensitivity to feelings of disgust. Again, these conservatives, so emotions based. So basically, like transphobes, they just don't want trans people to be open. They either want them to be in the closet or worse. They just don't want trans people to exist because when they see a trans person or they think of a trans person, the disgust mechanism in their brain starts firing off, right? So think about this. They value not feeling that disgust over the freedom and happiness of their fellow Americans. Selfish, utterly selfish and emotional. I just can't stand the projection that conservatives do. It's like, oh, the left is all feels-based. Like, really? Really? It doesn't matter that trans people who simply have, trans people that have one person close to them that is supportive of their gender identity, that subset of trans people, their suicidality is basically the same as the rest of the human population. Having one supportive person around you that's a main, like a parent, for example, cuts it by, I think it's 94 or 95% suicidality rates. Okay, that doesn't matter. They want trans people to be in the closet because that leads to worse health outcomes. What matters to conservatives is if you are someone who triggers a negative emotion in them, fear, for example, when it comes to immigrants, then you need to be punished. They want to hurt you for their emotions. And of course, they're not going to take responsibility for their own feelings because scapegoating is a lot easier than self-reflection for the mentally lazy conservative.
Yeah, that's 1,000% true. And Todd, you asked show the picture of Sarah McBride. That's Sarah McBride. And someone would look a little bit out of place in a men's room. I think we can all agree on. And years ago, I had this happen when I was at a YMCA to work out. And I was just in the locker room and I turned around and there's this lady there. I jumped. Like I mean, that's the last thing I expected. And I was like, what is happening? And I just kind of just stood there and and then I realized, it took me a while. I was like, okay, I figured out what happened. I'm in a red state and I know that this is probably the rule that you have to go to the bathroom of your sex assigned at gender. And this was a woman. Like in a million years, no one would ever guess that this was about, but she was in the locker room every morning and it was strange. Like it was, fine, it was something we could live with, I guess, but she shouldn't have to do that. So like ostracize herself that way. And like you guys mentioned, that puts her in danger. Being around a bunch of naked guys all the time is not a safe place. It's just not, And so the fact that conservatives don't care about that, I'm so glad you brought that up, Keegan, because this isn't about, once again, it's not about morality at all. If it was about morality, you could show the stats that, hey, when you have this one action that leads to more people being harmed, whether it's a bathroom issue or not, or punishing people or ostracizing them leads to them harming themselves more, doesn't matter. It matters because they like it. They like it. It's good that this kind of behavior should be looked down upon in society, forcing you into a corner until you no longer exist. And there's actually a study, Keegan, I know you'll be familiar with this, that there was a study about conservatives and disgust, that conservatives have a much easier trigger rate when it comes to being disgusted. It's 1,000 years ago, there was this art exhibit called Piss Christ, which essentially was a crucifix in a jar of urine. And I remember conservatives were super mad about this. It was just some fucking art exhibit somewhere. And across the country, conservatives lost their mind. Right? Do you remember that, Todd? Did you ever see that?
No, but I can picture it.
Of course you can. Of course you can. These folks spent the better part of 3 years complaining and boycotting and yelling to their talk radio shows that Colin Kaepernick took a knee when the Magic song played. Like that's how fucking fragile these conservatives are. And what you guys all mentioned it, but it's something that I love to do whenever conservatives talk about how there's no such thing as a trans person, or trans people, they're bizarre. You can always say, okay, how do you know I'm a man? My favorite question. I love asking this. How do you know I'm a man? Because unlike I always tell them this, like, unlike your mom, you know, you've never seen my genitals. And if I gave you like a blood sample and a microscope, you wouldn't know where to start to find my chromosomes. You'd have no fucking clue. So how do you know I'm a man? And the answer is you don't. You don't. By your definition, at least, that a man is like it's tied to biological essentialism. You don't. You just go off the social cues that I give off and my appearance. That's it. And that's all we're saying. That is all we're fucking saying, and they can't seem to grasp it. I know we've made some great points here, but I do want to pull up Nancy Mace because I think she has some pretty clever rebuttals. So
Did
let's
you
see
say
what
Nazi Mace? I'm sorry.
No, I know, right? Let's. All right, let's see what she has to say.
Hey everyone, I seem to blow up the radical left last night. I filed a resolution that would ban biological men from women's private spaces on the Hill. I'm just getting started, and I've already nowhere near stopping, and the death threats that I'm receiving now aren't going to stop me either. So I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Come at me, bro. Or bro.
Okay.
I'm not going to take threats for an answer. I'm going to fight like hell for women and girls to keep men out of women's private spaces, to include bathrooms, restrooms, locker rooms, changing rooms, you name it. You are not welcome.
Once again, I'll let you guys chime in, but once again, Republicans were elected to bring down the cost of eggs. I just want to make that up, make that very clear, and this is what they're spending their time on.
So first of all, I want to say the thing you mentioned about how do you know I'm a man, I love taking that a step further and saying, how do you know God was a man? If being a man is determined by your biological genitals, God doesn't have those. So why do you call him he? You know, and that both pisses them off and is entirely accurate. It's a wonderful retort. But also what she's saying there, it's so funny because everyone has their own bathroom. Every representative has their own bathroom. This is such a non-issue that you're making an issue out of. I like, who cares? Again, if you care about this, you're a fraud. And if you claim to care about protecting women and children, but you vote for the guy who is found liable of sexual assault, if you would have voted to confirm Matt Gaetz after seeing the House Ethics Committee report, if you are okay with Donald Trump having multiple people in his cabinet with sexual assault accusations in their past, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to be able to take you seriously when you say a trans woman who looks like a woman, who is indistinguishable from every other woman, is putting girls in danger because they're in the bathroom. It's utter insanity. It is completely incoherent. And the average person I can forgive, but you have a fucking responsibility to people, bro. Like you need to stop being so stupid. I'm sorry.
I wanted to pull this up too, that this is a post from Nancy Mace, and this took, when was this? This is June 4th, 2021. And I wanted to, let me pull it up here, share what she said about this, a similar topic here. Let's see what she has to say. And she says here that she's like, the pandemic kept all of us from fully celebrating Pride here in Low County in 2020. But hopefully, as we begin to open back up, we can all come together to celebrate the challenges of our LGBTQ plus has overcome and the bright future ahead. Hashtag Pride Month, hashtag Pride 2021. So, 3 short years ago, by the way, if anyone wondering, the T in LGBTQ stands for trans. I'm just, in case you guys weren't aware of that. So, listen, I know that I am far too old to believe in the fairy tale that politicians have actual principles and actual things. I do not believe that the person that wrote that 3 years later, it has this deeply held belief that trans people are a problem. I don't. I think that she's a political opportunist. But honestly, if you're in politics, you are an opportunist. You kind of have to be, honestly. And it's just a lot more gross that way. Because listen, I've said plenty of times that I can't imagine that there's a check big enough that would make me do right-wing content, but I just can't. But maybe there is. I don't know, but I don't think there is one.
There's certainly a check big enough, TJ.
Yeah,
let's be honest. There's always a check big enough.
Yeah, listen, folks, if you do ever see like a right-wing turn, just know I don't mean it. I don't mean it at all. I'm doing it for the $10 billion that I was paid for this, whatever. But like, I just can't. A congressional salary, hell, a congressional seat would not be enough. It's just not enough.
Power.
Yeah, the power is just like I couldn't. I don't know. Not a switch that massive to like just be an open, proud bigot. I mean, it works for a lot of people. I see it happen right in front of me, but it doesn't make it any less depressing when I do.
I just want to say, like, this is why we need gender studies in our schools, because there's so many people that think, oh, dude, this trans thing is so new. The people only started being trans in 2014. It's like, no. In India, there's been a third gender for like hundreds of years. In North America, on many societies, there were people called two spirits, which are people who are what we would label as trans. I remember I took an early modern English history course. So it was, 16th, 17th century. We had a whole discussion about who would be more dangerous. And we didn't use the words trans, but it's effectively who would be more dangerous, trans men or trans women. And what's funny is trans women are perceived as scarier now because of the disgust mechanism in people's brains, right? They think about, ooh, I don't want to have sex with somebody with the PP. Or they're really turned on by it, and then they're disgusted with themselves, and then there's a self-hate angle. I really recommend looking up the map of trans porn searches. You'll learn a lot there. But back, a few hundred years ago, trans men were considered more threatening to the social order because these are women trying to undo the patriarchy, and they're trying to step up in society by being men, and it's just kind of funny. I don't know. It's terrible, but it's kind of funny. Like, just conservatives, just all feelings based.
And it's funny, like, you're going to say something, Todd?
Yeah, have you guys ever watched All in the Family, Archie Bunker?
Yeah, Archie Bunker, yeah.
I mean, if you ever get a chance, you get, I watch it sometimes, and it's like the current political reality 50 years ago. We're just Archie Bunker was a huge transphobe 50 something years ago. Like, the talking points of Archie Bunker are the talking points of MAGA today. Exactly. Like, not changed at all. It blows my mind. And people here who love Archie Bunker, who love All in the Family, who talk about it and act like Archie Bunker is this hero. And are like, yeah, this trans stuff is new. It's like, do you even watch the show? It's the same issues that from then, unchanged completely.
Yeah.
Not to mention they have zero media literacy to understand that Archie Bunker is the butt of the joke. It's incredible how little media literacy conservatives have. Keegan, I want to address one thing that you said earlier about how it's about it being separate, that they don't have to think about it. They don't have to get there. That's why they say, oh, this is a new thing, because it started getting put in mainstream media. Before that, an equal amount of trans people exist, but they didn't see them, so they just didn't give a shit and thought that they didn't. And now that they're forced to see it, oh, that disgust is bleeping off in the back of their head and going like, oh, this is all of a sudden coming around. No, it's just all of a sudden coming into your bubble. And the other thing to tie into what you said before, it's right there in the steps of fascism. That one of the first books that the Nazis burned were at a sexology institute, and a lot of them dealing with transgenderism. It is a hallmark of fascist regimes to alienate the queer community, to attack sexual perversion as an attack on the rest of society. Every single fascist regime you'll see does this. And it's just another example of how this sometimes feels like something you can forgive a lot of people for, but the people at the top know what the fuck they're doing.
The Nazis believed that homosexuality and transgenderism were social contagions that could be spread, that if you talked about it, more people would become it. Again, social contagion, you catch it. And Republicans view it very similarly. I would recommend Nazi persecution of homosexuals on Wikipedia, and you can go into their views and go just replace the word Nazi with conservative or Republican, and then replace the word German with Americans, and it reads just like today. And it shows you that if you really want to understand politics, you have to understand human psychology, because our psychology has not advanced much in the 12,000 years that civilization has existed, and it's why we have the same recurring issues. It's not just, oh, people don't learn from history. It's that we just haven't evolved enough as a species.
Yeah, it's all that's true. What you guys, Todd and John were talking about, the media literacy thing. The Archie Bunker thing is a great example of this, that this happens all the time, where people create media as a critique of something bad. People love the media and take the complete wrong. We overestimate people's ability to understand even blatant satire. Like, my favorite example of this is Starship Troopers. If you guys
going to say Starship Troopers,
are you going to talk about Elon Musk?
No, I was like, what did he? Oh, did he say something about Starship Troopers?
Yeah, no, he literally he posted it is a picture of when the trooper is like going up to the alien, and she's like, he's scared.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, it was him as Doge, as the human, and like the government bureaucracy as the alien. I'm like, you didn't like how do you not understand the movie? You have billions of dollars. Pay someone to explain it to you. Like, oh my God.
He's wearing a Nazi outfit.
He's wearing a Nazi uniform.
It couldn't be more obvious.
Listen, I didn't see Starship Trooper until I was an adult. I was an adult, and I had heard about this. I heard that the movie came out. Audiences, they went to see it, and they thought it was a brainless action space flick. And I was like, all right, sure. Then I watched the movie, and my jaw was on the floor for an hour, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Because if you haven't seen Starship Troopers, folks, do yourself a favor and watch it. I swear to God, it seems like a movie that was made by someone from today with a time machine who went back to 1994 and said, hey, this is what's going to happen after 9/11. This is exactly how, and they didn't see it. And if you missed these subtle criticisms that all the teachers served in the military were missing limbs and shit and saying, yeah, this is great. You should all go out and fight the bug creatures. Yeah. They have a map of the galaxy, and it shows Earth over here. And on the far side of the galaxy, the other planet, and it's like, we need to keep ourselves safe from these aliens over here. And it's like, if that wasn't enough for you, like they mentioned, the military wears like black head to toe SS uniforms. And it's like, folks, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you can't understand what this is trying to say, I don't know what hope there is for you in the world. And Keegan, I think you mentioned
it's not just that the officers wear the Nazi uniforms, but the military, like the average soldier, they wear uniforms that are reminiscent of what a bug looks like, and it's meant to show we are the same as this. I would really, really, really recommend the Red Letter Media review of Starship Troopers and the Knowing Better review of Starship Troopers. Knowing Better is a channel that I would recommend to literally everyone.
Oh, I just said Red Letter Media has some fantastic Star Wars prequel interview. For those who haven't seen it, those are really good. That's amazing. And
the origins of the video essay on YouTube.
One thing I like, I think Keegan, you mentioned this, that going through and replacing like Americans and Nazis and seeing how the language is the same. Another thing I like to do is pulling up. You guys can check this if you want anytime, listeners. Go ahead and Google the terms Hartford Press Ku Klux Klan party platform. Hartford Press Ku Klux Klan party platform. And you will pull up on the first link the party platform from the Ku Klux Klan, which was an active political party until the early 2000s, honestly, like running people for office. That maybe they still do. But the 1999 platform, that's like the David Duke era platform. Read it. The entire platform. It says stuff like the transsexual community has infiltrated our schools. The schools, by the way, are just pipelines for socialists and communists. We need the cities have been taken over by violent criminal gangs, and they're trying to take guns away from white people. We need to outlaw abortion. The Klan platform is the same, not similar. It is the same as the Republican Party platform today. I have no clue why anyone running for office as Democrat doesn't open every debate with that. Just bring up the Klan platform, read it to the audience, and ask the Republican why does this sound so familiar to what you're saying? I don't know why, because like we act
They'll
like
bite the bullet too, TJ. They will bite the bullet. They will bite the bullet on national television. They've gotten to that point.
There's nothing different from it. This is why I always talk about how I'm tired of the respectability shit. I'm tired of the gentleman's agreements and shit like that. No, the Republican Party is not a serious organization that has ideas we need to respect. It is the same shit that was propagated that we said we defeated in the 1960s. No, it's the same stuff, and I'm tired of pretending otherwise. So yeah, that's my rant on that.
All right, thank you guys so much. You made it to the end of the video. You are once again our favorite viewer. I know I said that to someone else last time, but this time, no, it is you. If you enjoyed our show today and want to know where you can find our wonderful guests, I'll throw it to them. Superman Todd, how about you tell people where they can find you?
Hey, I'm Superman Todd. I'm just on TikTok as Superman Todd 2. So go give me a follow for just to listen to a normal guy who's progressive in Kentucky to give my thoughts on how crazy the world is.
And Keegan, where can our guests find you if they don't want to look for a normal guy?
They want to look for an autistic weirdo. Yeah. You can find me at Keegan Tatum, Keegan Tatum. TikTok is the best place. It's the most up-to-date place for all of my short content. Instagram, I also post everything from TikTok onto Instagram and onto YouTube as well. YouTube might be a little bit behind on the short videos, but they are also long-form videos such as why are older people more conservative and why are what is the psychology of transphobia. Almost all of my videos are based in the psychology of politics. It's the thing I'm an expert in, and it's a really interesting topic. So hope you join me.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, fellas. If you're looking to find my content, some good stuff on TikTok and YouTube and on Left Wing, just give me a visit. I'm your man or woman. I guess you don't know. You haven't seen my chromosomes or anything like that, but we'll find out. I'll catch you guys later.